Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Cypress Metz. I am the Senior Vice President of Strategy with SCORE, and I am thrilled to have you all here for this morning's webinar about our Future Forward Innovation Grant. Excited to see, I'm seeing so many longtime partners and new faces as well who have joined us. So thank you all for being here and for your interest in this opportunity. Our goal for this webinar today is really to help you all who might be interested in this grant have a better understanding of SCORE, about the Future Forward Innovation Grant and Pathways Incubator, as well as what the application process is like and what you should expect. This is, as you may know, the second year SCORE has done the Future Forward Innovation Grant. And so I am thrilled that we have one of our recipients from our first year, Jessica Friedman, who's with Chattanooga 2.0, who is going to join in just a little bit to share a little bit about what her experience has been like with the Future Forward Innovation Grant. And we will then go through a few details and have some time to answer your question throughout the rest of the time here this morning. There will be a Q&A box within your Zoom feature that you are able to submit questions throughout the webinar as you have them. And I would encourage you to do that. My colleagues, Ursha and Catherine, are on here, and they're going to be going through those and making sure we answer as many as we can during our time today. So you may go ahead and start submitting those. And then in addition to that, after this webinar, we'll have both a recording of the webinar as well as an FAQ document that we generate through questions we've already gotten, as well as questions we get during this webinar, and we'll include that on the website as a follow-up. But with that, I am excited for us to dive into a little bit about the grant opportunity in this program itself. And so just to give you some background, SCORE's mission is to catalyze transformative change in Tennessee education so that every student can have success. And in that spirit, we launched the Future Forward Innovation Grant last year to help better connect education and opportunity by supporting innovative education and employer partnerships to design and launch pathways programs. SCORE knows and believes that when pathways are purpose-built to really enable students to move through a pathway with really a goal of economic opportunity in mind, that those pathways can be really successful both for the student as well as for workforce opportunity and employers in our state. And we had seen so many strong examples of that across the state, of a leading employer coming together saying, hey, I really have this need and I want to support students in my community to help fill this talent need I have. And then an innovative education partner saying, I want to roll up my sleeves with you and help you to build that pathway. And we saw so much success in that in pockets that we wanted to take that success and really scale it in more places across the state. And so we launched the Future Forward Innovation Grant last year to really try to seed and incubate more of those partnerships and more of those pathways. We know that not enough students are being prepared for careers after high school and after post-secondary that enable economic independence for them. And we believe that advancing clearer, more impactful pathways from education to work requires innovation and requires partnership, requires community, requires industry. And more innovations needed in the education to work space to accelerate students' pathways. We're thrilled so many of you are interested in this because we really believe that there's an opportunity here, and we know that SCORE isn't the key ingredient. It's you all. It is those who are really going to be on the ground building these partnerships. And so we'll walk through a few details right now on the grant as well as on the Pathways Incubator and the other pieces of the grant as well. And so the Future Forward Innovation Grant is more than just a grant opportunity. It is the opportunity for recipients to receive up to $75,000 for 1 year in grant funding, but it also creates the opportunity for recipients to enter the Pathways Incubator, which is a 1-year fellowship with the other recipients, where your partnership team comes together 3 times a year to really learn with the other recipients about what makes an effective pathway, how to overcome barriers that you may all be facing individually or might have similar barriers along the way, and to really think about how best can you support students through these pathways. In addition to the fellowship, another piece of that Pathways Incubator is also individualized advising and consulting, both from SCORE as well as through partnership that SCORE facilitates with an expert mentor who is a national expert in the pathways space. And so it's a really exciting opportunity. And both these supports that are provided are really intended to enable successful pathways. And when we think about what we're hoping to see in the Future Forward Innovation Grant, it is to stand up the design or implementation of innovative education to work models that support students on pathways to high demand, high wage careers. And so we have kind of 4 key ingredients that we are really focused on through this program, and that we'll be really looking for in applications. These are very similar to what the grant was focused on last year, but I'm excited because we have seen over the past year with our 7 recipients in the first year how successful these can be. So the first is student-centered. And so pathways must be created to enable an accelerated opportunity for students to earn what SCORE calls an impact credential, which is really a degree or credential that data demonstrates creates a clear path to a high demand, high wage career. And so we'll have more information on our website and throughout the webinar about really which credentials are those impact credentials. But the purpose of this program is really to build new pathways to the degrees and credentials that are connected to high wage, high demand careers. Second is it must really be connected to local workforce need within your community. And so while we have data to show us what is demand across the state, a really key ingredient of this program is that it is solving for a local workforce need or a regional workforce need that your employer partner or partners are facing. Third is, and I've mentioned this already, is that it's about partnership. And it must be created in collaboration with an education partner and an employer partner. And so an education partner could be a K-12 partner, a post-secondary institution. It could be a workforce training provider, a community college, a charter school, a four-year university, but really any education partner, and then an employer and a leading industry partner. In addition to those 2 key partner ingredients, it could also include community partners or other partners, but the key element for us is really that innovative education and innovative employer partner stepping up together to design and launch this pathway. And then finally, this is called the Future Forward Innovation Grant, and we really want to be leveraging this opportunity to seed innovation, new bold ideas that once they're launched can teach the field. And so we're looking for new opportunities, new ways of doing things where we could take lessons learned from that and share across the state, which we're already doing with our first year of this. And so given those 4 ingredients, our ideal grant applicants are organizations in the early stages of envisioning an innovative education to work pathway program for their community. You could have an idea, you could have already started in this work, but you're in the early stages. I mentioned already kind of the additional elements of the Pathways Incubator that'll go along with grant funding for the recipients. And we are really excited about that because it creates the opportunity for individualized support for these pathways. We know that industry needs look different across the state. We know that each of the partners who will be involved in these look very different. And so we create this incubator opportunity to really help provide that individualized support around program design, around finance and operations, around policy advocacy and needs to overcome barriers, around student recruitment and student supports, and more. And so given all of that, Well, and I will also mention, you'll see on the screen that we also have the dates listed for those fellowship convenings. And I encourage you all to mark those dates on your calendar right now if you're applying for this fellowship, because those will be required pieces, required convenings here in Nashville, as part of the Future Forward Innovation Grant and Pathways Incubator. And as you have likely seen in the application, if you've glanced at it already, each recipient will be asked to bring a team, and that team should include your employer partner, your education partner, and one other individual, which could be another person from those two partnerships or a different partner, but a team of 3 to each of those convenings will be required. But now I've talked a lot, but I'm really excited. We had 7 incredible Pathways teams as part of the first year of the Future Forward Innovation Grant. And one of those was Chattanooga 2.0 launching a tutor to teacher pathway. And so I am thrilled to have Jessica Friedman, who is with Chattanooga 2.0, who has been a critical part of that Pathways team, and critical to the design and launch of that innovative pathway, who is going to share with us a little bit about the work that they have been doing in Hamilton County around the teacher pathway. So Jessica, I'm thrilled to turn it over to you to share a little bit with us.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mary Cypress, for the introduction and for all of the information you're providing about the Future Forward Innovation Grant. So nice to see everyone here and to see some familiar names as well. I am Jessica Friedman. I'm the Director of Viable Pathways to Prosperity here at Chattanooga 2.0. For those who aren't familiar, we consider ourselves a backbone organization across Hamilton County, Tennessee, and we are focused on convening partners and testing proof points and monitoring and learning from initiatives across the cradle to career spectrum, including early childhood development and literacy, college and career savings, and post-secondary to career pathways. And my role is around the career pathway portion of things. So back in 2024, when we applied for this grant 2024-25, my colleagues came up with the concept of a tutor to teacher pathway, which is a high support, low cost accelerated pipeline that moves local Hamilton County students from high school into licensed pre-K-3 teaching roles in as little as 3 years post-secondary. And the aim of that is to meet a shortage of teachers and a demand from Hamilton County schools for more pre-K-3 teachers, really addressing the shortages in the early grades, as well as creating this internal pipeline back into Hamilton County teaching roles, particularly for students of color and students who have been historically excluded from accessing those kind of teaching positions. So the tutor to teacher, I'll give a little bit of an overview of the model in short. It has a number of standard elements that we're working to hone across our schools. Starts with career inspiration and exploration opportunities, so students can have more exposure to teaching as a profession in their early years. Primarily, it has earn as you learn opportunities. So these are paid hands-on experiences, including tutoring as impact fellows during junior and senior years of high school, where students are have the opportunity to serve as tutors for the elementary grades, serving both the purpose of improved literacy across elementary school, as well as hands-on learning experiences for high school students. And students also will have eligibility for part or full-time employment as classified personnel within Hamilton County school system after high school graduation, if they're part of this pathway. This is an accelerated degree pathway, which includes up to 9 general education and education-focused dual enrollment courses that are aligned with diploma requirements, and college credit students also get college credit for serving as impact fellows, which is a unique aspect of this model that allows students to earn up to 30 credits college credits by high school graduation. They can also learn less than that, and that's something that we're fine-tuning and tailoring as we're going. So this is also a low-cost model. It's building off of the Tennessee Dual Enrollment Grant, where 15 college credits are covered through that. 3 can be earned through participation as impact fellows, and up to 12 additional credits can be either reduced cost or fully funded through philanthropy that we draw down. One of the unique offerings that Chattanooga 2.0 provides is intensive advisory and career navigation throughout high school and post-secondary and into the workforce. And like I said before, we're partnering and prioritizing students who have been economically disadvantaged so we can increase access to teaching as a profession for that population of young people. The model also includes a cohort-based model because that's seen to have greater success getting students through career programs. And we are looking to achieve that through common checkpoints for students, such as mid-year program events, through a common communication platform for students, and then just having aligned learning goals so students can go through this pathway at a more individualized pacing, but still have a cohort model to draw them together. The end goal of this is a Bachelor of Science in Teaching pre-K 3, as well as teaching licensure, but there are also on and off ramps across the pathway that we're working to customize. And importantly, eligibility for pathway graduates to be hired into pre-K 3 teaching roles is one of the selling points of this model. So let me talk a little bit about why this pathway was a good fit for this grant. Mary Cypress talked about 4 elements of the Future Forward and Innovation Grant model. This pathway is student-centered because the design is building in necessary flexibility for students to earn that teaching degree in as little as 3 years, but we're also supporting students for whom the pathway is less accelerated. This is a market-driven pathway as well because of teacher shortages that persist countywide, and addressing that by feeding this internal pipeline back into the school system. And we have a unique partnership because Hamilton County Schools serves as both one of the education partners as well as the primary employer. And that internal pipeline, I think, is a nice feature of this. In addition to that, in terms of innovation, one of the features of this that made it a bit innovative was building on the tutoring program that exists across Hamilton County Schools, which is the Impact Fellows program. The fact that we're prioritizing students who have been primarily marginalized, and the aim that as we continue to pilot this, it can be gradually scaled across more schools that offer Impact Fellows, and then more broadly to other schools across the county. A few final notes. So SCORE has been incredibly helpful across the past year, both in creating convening points and fellowship, as well as mentorship. So those 3 convening events that Mary Cypress noted were critical for us. Our primary education partner fell through early on as we were planning this grant. It just wasn't working out. And it was through, I believe, that first convening that Chat State happened to be also in the room. They were the recipients of another grant, and we found with them a new partnership that enabled us to use Chat State as our new post-secondary partnership, and it has taken off since then. So we certainly wouldn't have figured that out in so timely a manner without having that gathering. And in terms of mentorship, one of our biggest challenges across the past year was figuring out how to work across a very decentralized dual enrollment system across the county, and guidance from all of the SCORE team that are on this call, as well as Ursha, was absolutely critical in connecting us to other partners who are using similar models, and to be able to learn what others are doing across Tennessee and more broadly across the country. That allowed us to fine-tune this model. So I can say we would not have gotten as far as we did in this pathway over the past year without the grant. We're very grateful for that. And I think it's also important to keep in mind that the lessons learned through this opportunity are just as important as the best practices that are a success. So thank you to the SCORE team.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing your experience. And it has been an honor for SCORE to be alongside you, as well as the other 6 recipients from year 1, because you have all been doing such innovative work, and there's so many lessons to be learned from each, because each is very different. And just to give our potential applicants a sense of that, obviously the tutor to teacher pathway was focused on teaching, which is a critical workforce need, and partnering with really Hamilton County Schools as the employer partner for that one. But our other 6 all looked very different as well. One of the recipients was Ballad Health, who is partnering with regional high schools in the Upper East Tennessee region to build a surgical tech pathway that really helped to accelerate high school students to earn a surgical tech credential that helped them enter high wage healthcare careers at Ballad Health. We had um, uh, the Niswonger Foundation brought together the University of Tennessee, as well as some regional employers, to help design an AI data science credential that could be embedded in computer science courses in that region of the state. We partnered with Nurses Middle College Nashville to launch an apprenticeship program that helps accelerate high school students in Nashville to have an accelerated pathway to an LPN. We partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis to design a data science credential that can be earned in Memphis Shelby County Schools high schools that is a key that consists of key skills that are needed to be data scientists at St. Jude, and those who complete the program are eligible for to be considered for an internship at St. Jude. We had the University of Memphis and the Polytechnic that helps take non-degree credentials and stack them and build them together to a bachelor's in applied science. And so, as you can see, we had several different types of partnerships that were really being supported through year 1, and we're really excited for an additional set of all kinds of different industries, types of education partners, and ideas and innovations to come into year 2. And so with that, having given you a sense of what is the Future Forward Innovation Grant and Pathways Incubator really like, we're going to go into details now. How do you apply? What does it need to look like? And answer questions that you might have. So first, I'll just start with the timeline. As you all know, we are here today on April 15th with this webinar. The application will remain open through Friday, May 15th. And so applications will be due on Friday, May 15th. And from there, we are planning to announce those selected in July. So there'll be a window there, and there may be additional information if that's requested following that, but that's what we are expecting. I would encourage you, as you're thinking about your application, you'll see in the application online that there are several questions for you to answer, and would encourage you to really take the information you've heard from today's webinar and really think about those responses. It'll ask for financial information, kind of compliance information, communications documents, but it'll also really ask you to describe your pathway, describe what's innovative about it. Who are your partners? Why are they the right partners? What are you trying to solve? I would encourage you to be bold and ambitious in that, and really share with us, give us a full picture of what it is that you're hoping this grant can help you accomplish. And know that you don't have to have all the answers figured out right now. The purpose of this year-long incubator is to really support you in refining your pathway and launching it successfully. And I just want to thank you all for joining this webinar today, for your interest in the Future Forward Innovation Grant in the Pathways Incubator. We're going to share today's PowerPoint over email with everyone who participated. So if one of your partner organizations couldn't come, feel free to forward that on. We're going to have the FAQ document for your reference. But before we close, I want to invite you all to our Future Forward Summit on April 30th. So last year, SCORE had a Future Forward Summit, and that is where we announced the launch of this program. We are really excited that at this next one on April 30th, we are going to feature some of our recipients from Cohort 1, and they will be sharing about the work of their pathways. So this summit is really about how to connect education and work broadly, and we'll be talking about both specific pathways as well as broad statewide needs and opportunities and national exemplars. But a key theme of it will be featuring the recipients of Cohort 1, and so would invite you to come and join SCORE for that summit, both for all of the learnings, but also to have a chance to talk with the recipients from last year face to face. The summit we're anticipating over 300 state and partners from across the state, national leaders from education, business, government, who are all focused on accelerating Tennessee's progress in connecting education with economic opportunity. And so we are excited for any of you who will be able to join us for that. Okay, with that, I am excited for all of your interest. I'm grateful for you all being interested in this opportunity and look forward to reviewing your applications. If you have questions or need support throughout the application process, you have our email address on the screen here. Please reach out to us. We'd love to be helpful to you. But thank you so much for the work you are doing to support students across the state. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.